Did you know that 75% of people believe they aren't living up to their creative potential? It's shocking, but many of us walk around thinking we lack creativity. Yet, research shows that everyone has the ability to be creative, it's just that most people don't recognize it. Think about this. A study by the World Economic Forum found that creativity is one of the top skills needed for the future job market. In a wZorld where technology changes daily, creative thinking is more important than ever. So, why do so many people still feel stuck? In this video, we'll explore why you might not see your own creativity. We'll uncover surprising facts about how everyday life can spark your creative genius. From simple routines to asking questions, you'll discover that creativity is already part of you. Get ready to learn how to unlock the creativity you didn't know you had. Are you ready to find out how you can tap into this hidden talent? Let's dive in. Chapter 1. The hidden genius within your daily routine. You don't need a grand vision or a big project to be creative. The way you handle everyday tasks is proof that you already have a creative spark. Think about it. How do you juggle your responsibilities? Whether it's meal planning or finding a shortcut on your commute, you're problem solving, which is a core element of creativity. A study from Stanford shows that people who engage in routine tasks with slight changes, like walking different routes to work, spark more creative ideas. A simple shift in your daily activities can unlock new ways of thinking. Take cooking, for example. Most of us don't follow recipes exactly, right? You might add a pinch of this, skip that ingredient you're missing, and suddenly, you've created something new. That's creativity. One quote from the book The Creative Habit by Twyla Tharp says, "Creativity is more about discipline than talent." In other words, what you do daily contributes more to your creative abilities than random bursts of inspiration. So, here's a strategy. Try to add small variations to your daily routine. Take a different route to work, rearrange your workspace, or change the way you handle your tasks. You'll start noticing how much creative energy you naturally have, and it doesn't take much effort. Chapter 2. The power of unlearning. Break the mold. One of the biggest blocks to creativity? The rules you've been taught to follow. From an early age, we're told there's a right way to do things. Draw inside the lines, follow the directions, stick to the formula. But real creativity often comes when you break free from that structure. Neuroscientist Jonah Lehrer, in Imagine How Creativity Works, explains that our brains become more innovative when we allow ourselves to think outside the norms. It's called lateral thinking, and it's what happens when you stop following the typical linear path to solve problems. Take this strategy to heart. Challenge yourself to unlearn something. If you always follow a particular process at work or at home, change it. Break the mold. And don't worry about being wrong. The brilliant physicist Richard Feynman once said, "I'd rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned." In other words, being open to different outcomes and embracing mistakes can lead to the most groundbreaking ideas. In fact, some of the greatest inventions came from mistakes. Think of the microwave, accidentally discovered by Percy Spencer when a candy bar melted in his pocket during a radar experiment. The lesson here is clear. Breaking away from rigid thinking allows you to discover what you didn't even know was possible. Chapter 3. Your brain on imagination. Why daydreaming is your secret weapon. We've been taught that daydreaming is a waste of time. But here's a surprising fact. It's actually one of the best things you can do for your creative brain. Studies from the University of California show that letting your mind wander leads to more creative insights. When you're not forcing your brain to focus, it taps into parts of your subconscious where fresh ideas are waiting. The same study found that 72% of people's most innovative thoughts happen during mindless tasks, like showering or taking a walk. This is because your brain isn't on lockdown. It's free to roam, explore, and connect seemingly unrelated ideas. Here's a strategy you can start using today. Allow yourself some brain breaks. Take 5 to 10 minutes to zone out and let your thoughts drift. You might even want to keep a notebook nearby, because as soon as you give your brain that space, creative ideas will start flowing. Albert Einstein famously said, "Imagination is more important than knowledge." And daydreaming is one of the best ways to nurture that imagination. What makes this so effective? When you stop trying to force ideas, you open up to more possibilities. Instead of focusing too hard, give your brain time to make its own connections. You'll be surprised how often those light bulb moments happen when you're not even paying attention. If you're finding these insights helpful, make sure to subscribe to stay updated on more tips and strategies to unlock your creativity. Chapter 4. The Creativity Illusion. Why labels don't matter. Most of us believe creativity is reserved for people with specific labels: artists, musicians, inventors. But that's not true. Creativity shows up in countless forms that often get overlooked. You don't need to paint a masterpiece or write a novel to be considered creative. A study by Adobe found that 75% of people think they're not living up to their creative potential. Why? Because they limit their definition of what creativity looks like. But creativity is more about how you approach problems than how you express yourself artistically. Take parenting, for example. Every day, parents are coming up with creative solutions to manage chaos, solve problems, and keep things running smoothly. That's creative thinking. If you're figuring out ways to motivate your team at work or finding hacks to simplify your home life, guess what? You're being creative. Author Elizabeth Gilbert, in her book Big Magic, says, "Living a creative life is about having the courage to bring forth the treasures that are hidden within you." You don't need a specific title to unlock your creative side. All you need is the willingness to see the creativity already at play in your life. A good strategy here is to stop labeling yourself. Don't limit your creativity by thinking, "I'm not artistic, so I'm not creative." Instead, recognize that problem-solving, innovation, and resourcefulness are just as much forms of creativity as painting or writing. Chapter 5. The Curiosity Connection. Why asking, why, unlocks creativity. Curiosity is the engine that drives creativity. And the best way to tap into curiosity? Ask, why? A lot. It's simple, but asking this question forces you to think differently and pushes your mind into new, creative territory. Albert Einstein, one of the most creative minds of all time, once said, "I have no special talents. I am only passionately curious." That's the key: staying curious, questioning what you see, and never assuming you know all the answers. Creativity comes from being open to possibilities that others might ignore. According to a Harvard Business Review study, the most successful people in innovative fields ask more questions than their peers. They don't just accept the status quo. They dig deeper to understand why things work the way they do. This is a trait anyone can develop. Here's a simple strategy. Every day, pick one thing to question. Ask, "Why is it like this?" Or, "How can this be done differently?" By challenging yourself to think about things from new angles, you'll start to flex your creative muscles. It doesn't have to be big. Start small and keep asking questions. Over time, you'll train your brain to naturally look for creative opportunities. Chapter 6. Failure is fuel. Turning mistakes into masterpieces. One of the biggest reasons people don't realize they're creative is fear of failure. But here's a secret. Failure is one of the best tools for creativity. Every time you fail, you're learning something new. Those lessons lead to creative breakthroughs that wouldn't have happened otherwise. James Dyson, the inventor of the Dyson vacuum, failed 5,127 times before he perfected his invention. That's thousands of mistakes, but each failure brought him closer to success. His creative process relied on those failures. The truth is, when you're afraid to fail, you're afraid to try new things. And that stifles creativity. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on the growth mindset shows that people who embrace failure as part of learning are more likely to be creative and innovative. A great strategy here is to reframe your failures. Instead of seeing them as setbacks, view them as experiments. Every mistake is a chance to learn and improve. Ask yourself after each failure, "What did I learn from this?" You'll start to see that failures aren't the end. They're often the beginning of your next great idea. Leonardo da Vinci once said, "An obstacle is often a stepping stone." This is especially true when it comes to creativity. The obstacles you face, the mistakes you make, and the failures you experience are all fuel for your creative growth. If you enjoyed this journey of discovering your creativity, don't forget to subscribe for more tips and inspiration. You have the creative genius within you. Now go out there and unleash it.